Again, to take a look at the bike image, but this time we're going to look at the extra credit in the back of the chapter. I wanted to clear up some misconceptions about desaturating or making black and white photos from color photos. So first of all, one of the things I like to do in an image before I do any other operations on it is duplicate the background. So what I'm going to do, notice the background is currently locked. So what I'm going to do is take it and drag it down to my new layer icon next to the trash, and a very odd placement, I know, and we'll duplicate it, and now I have a new background copy, and notice my background is still locked. I can turn that off if I'd like to, so that I can just see what happens on the background copy. And then I've always got my background saved as an archive. I know this makes your files a little bit larger, but if something happens along the way, you have a bailout and a way to go back to your original without starting completely over. So I've got my background copy, and in the exercise at the end of the book, it talks about adjustment layers. And part of adjustment layers are right down here at the bottom of the layer palette. We can take a look at a number of adjustment layers that are listed. These are also listed up under image adjustments, and you'll see image adjustments on down the list. Now, not all of the adjustments are included in adjustment layers. Let's go ahead and do what they mentioned doing at the end of the chapter. I'm going to go down to my adjustment layer, hold down the little icon on the circle, half black and white circle, and go down to black and white. And I'm going to choose black and white, and it automatically turns my image black and white, which is great. And then it has some numbers you can put in there. I have put the numbers in, and I wasn't really as pleased with the results as I'd like, so I typically just do auto, and then from auto you can kind of tune it accordingly, depending on if you want that bike to be lighter or darker. But auto is really helpful in the program and just kind of reads your image very well here. So I'm going to kind of zoom up so you can see a close-up, and it's a pretty good black and white interpretation. We've got some nice tonalities from our black to our white to our midtones, and that's really what we're looking for. Now the cool thing about this, if I go back to layers on the side, I can just click on my layers again, and you notice it made an adjustment layer, and I can turn that off and on. So I can easily undo that. If I want to see a different effect, let's just turn this off, and then I'm going to go up and use the pull down menu, because one of my favorite black and white adjustments is to go under adjustment, and I'm going to make sure I'm on the background copy. Notice when I'm on the adjustment layer, there's some things I cannot do. So make sure you're on the background copy, an unlocked layer, and I'm going to go down to adjustments, desaturate. Now by doing desaturate, you can see nothing happened in layers. My image did change to a black and white, which is great, but I cannot undo this. Only right now I have one undo where I can back up, Command Z, and I can check the difference between my desaturation, but I have no other adjustments, no ways to tune the image afterwards like I do with black and white. All right, and last but not least, I have one other adjustment. I'm going to go back and undo that. One other adjustment I'd like to show you is not really an adjustment, it's changing a mode. So we're going to go to Image Mode Grayscale, and I'm going to change the grayscale. And what it wants me to do is merge all my layers, or instead of merging them, just keeping them separate. It wants to basically throw away this adjustment layer. So I'm just going to say, okay, let's throw that away because I'm doing a different process. And there's my adjustment. It's now a grayscale image. I cannot adjust it. But if I look in my channel box, I went from RGB to gray. So let me undo for a second. Here's with my RGB image and the channels, red, green, blue. And then if I go back to gray, after applying the image grayscale, I just have a gray layer. In channels and in layers, I've got my background copy. Again, not any other way to tune it without going into adding like a brightness contrast to it, which I could do. This is one way you can tune something that wasn't on an adjustment layer. So I'm going to go to brightness contrast, which is an adjustment layer, and then I can tune that grayscale that I just adjusted. I can raise the contrast. Whenever you raise the brightness, always follow by raising the contrast a little bit, otherwise you can wash out your image. Again, there's an auto feature in here, so I can hit auto and get a result that might be beneficial, or if I still don't like it, I can brighten the image a little bit more. All right, and that's what I have for you today on setting a black and white image.